Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Summit. I am your host, Waxéla Sananda, and today I am going to have the pleasure of having a conversation with Jannecke Øinæs from Wisdom from North. But first, please join me in an alignment process so that we can all get centered and really present to receive the information that will be shared today. So just start by closing your eyes and tuning into your breath, deepening your breath into your belly. And as you're breathing, contact the light within your heart. This is your heart light. And feel that light glowing and growing out around your heart. And now imagine a source of light above your head. And this is the source of the divine masculine central sun. And feel this divine masculine energy moving into your body, all the way to the bottoms of your feet, and then up into your heart center, joining from the light with the light within you. And now bring your awareness to the center of the earth, the heart of the Mother Earth. This is the divine, feminine, nurturing energy of the divine Mother Earth. And feel that energy moving up through the layers of the earth. And you can imagine it like liquid crystal light coming up into the base of your spine and the bottom of your feet, all the way to the top of your head. And then breathe that energy of the divine feminine into your heart center, joining with the divine masculine from above and joining with your light within. And feel this creating a triangular portal, a trinity of light within you, opening up to connect you and align you with your highest good and your highest light. And then feel that connection spreading out to every other person who is listening or watching this conversation today. And then also connect in your energy with myself and Jannecke so that you can receive whatever is shared today that is for your highest good, and receive that in divine alignment. Thank you for doing that with me. You can open your eyes. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Jannecke from Wisdom from North. Jannecke is an amazing being, and I have been watching her do interviews of other people. She's actually done over 400 interviews of amazing people. And I've watched her do these interviews, and I'm always touched by her heart and her authenticity. And I can always feel her just connection and her desire to share and to build community. And that is what had me reach out to her to be a speaker on this show, because I know there's so much wisdom there, and I feel that connection every time I hear her interview someone else. So it's really my pleasure to be able to have this conversation. And now, Jannecke, I know that you have branched into, you've got your own teachings, and you're doing an online retreat now. Would you please introduce yourself in your own words and share some about what you're doing and what you've built in all of this work that you've been doing?
Of course, it would be my pleasure. And first, I would like to say thank you so much for that beautiful introduction and for your beautiful work in inviting me here. It's an honor to be here, and of course, a great opportunity to share for me what it's important to me and what I'm passionate about, which is raising consciousness and helping people take back the power, because we're so much more powerful than we are led to believe. And a bit about my story was that I was a musical theater artist in Norway. So I'm Norwegian, and I started out as a little Cosette in Les Miserables, 7 years old, and that was my dream, to become a big Broadway star. I knew what I was going to do in life. Like, I was going to be this big musical theater artist. And then I went on and did Annie in Annie, and had a record, and I got all these musical theater roles in Norway. And at that time, we didn't have social media. So I was very well known as a child star. And then fast forward to becoming 20 years old, and I played Rizzo in Greece and had great success again. And I landed another role as Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. But then my voice disappeared. Like, I got nodules on my voice and I had to turn down the role. And all of a sudden, from having this amazing flow in my life, everything coming my way, everything stopped. It was like this huge shift. And what happened inside was that I went into a big, big depression. And it's so interesting to look back at, because now I understand what happened, and I didn't at that time. So all of a sudden, I thought I was not valuable at all. I didn't have any value in this life because I didn't have a status anymore. I wasn't popular anymore. No one wanted me. So, but I understood that somehow I need to figure out how to survive. I just needed to survive. So I started a long journey inwards. And what I found was that I needed to love myself. I needed to love myself without that theater and performing and being someone and having that voice. I just needed to love myself for just who I was. And that was good enough. And that took me a long time, and I'm still a work in progress. However, I started giving respect to my emotions much more, like small whispers inside, that little voice that I think a lot of us have. I started giving love and attention to that. And that little voice told me to go all these weird ways. In the beginning, I was like, this is weird. Why am I doing this? And it told me to start doing interviews and interview the big spiritual teachers around the world because I was so curious about the big questions. But that was something I had never respected in myself. I thought, that is nothing you can live from doing. It's great to have as a hobby, but it's nothing I can do something about. But at that time, I had matured my self-love. So I understood that, okay, it's important that I just follow this hunch. So I started doing these interviews. And it was kind of strange because at the same time, I had just quit theater. I had started to study to become a primary teacher, like doing something completely different. And so today I am actually educated as an actress and a primary teacher, but that wasn't my passion, to work in school. So I continued doing these interviews, and I was very lucky. I got some amazing interviews with like big people like Byron Katie and Teal Swan and Eben Alexander and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton. And it gave me so much, and it started growing. And all of a sudden, when I was done studying, I was like, I'm not going to become a primary teacher. I'm going to see where Wisdom from North takes me. And I had, it's so important for me to say, because I had no clue where I was going. I was just trusting every little step, and I had no clarity. But I knew that as long as I was following my joy, I was doing something right. Because how could following your joy be wrong in any way? So I trusted that, okay, just keep following your joy, even though I was not earning money. I was barely getting by. I had a gazillion other jobs aside. I just felt that I had to continue. And then one day, where I had been asking for clarity, something fell into place. I all of a sudden had this vision of what I was going to do. Because like in America, you have so many possibilities for spiritual growth, and so many have amazing courses and workshops. But in Scandinavia, we don't have that much of that. So I thought, okay, so I'll create the Nordic platform for accelerated inner growth and empowerment. And my job, in a sense, will be to find what I find are the best teachers around the world and in the Nordic countries, and to share their teachings. And so I started a membership. I started an online magazine. I have live interviews in Oslo. And I also have free events. So now in February, I'm having this Soul's Calling online retreat, because obviously I'm very passionate about a soul's calling, because my experience is that my whole life changed after I started following that inner truth and that inner voice. So that is a free event for those who feel like something is whispering inside. There's got to be more to my life. Was this what I signed up for? Or am I on the wrong path? Perhaps I'm supposed to do something else. How do I listen to myself? This is like an event, an 8 days journey that we will take together, where we will explore and dive into our soul's calling, let go of distractions from our everyday life where it's kind of hard to listen, and just focus on, what are my passions? What do I really want in life? And I'll bring in some of the teachers I work with, and they will guide you as well. And it's totally free. And from the last event I had, there were a lot of people who had breakthroughs and said that they now knew the steps that they could take, that they had more clarity on what was standing in their way, and had some huge insights. So that's why I'm doing this again, because we don't have to walk alone. We can do it together. So of course, I'd love for everyone to join if you feel called to, and it's totally free. Yeah. So that was kind of the short story of my story, which I didn't discover before years after that there actually was a story there that might inspire others. Because I think that if I can, anybody can. Like, I thought I was worth this much. So it was a long way to understand that I was actually valuable and had something to give to the world.
Wow. Yeah. What a journey. And what I'm really noticing is I find that we are always guided. It's as if we're trained for exactly what we're meant to be doing, even if we don't know what that is. There are hints, lots of hints along the way, and that you began in front of people, acting, using your voice, singing. You were using your voice even in the beginning as a child to give people an experience, to, share your essence and your being with others. You were entertaining then, but then that changed and you went internal, and then you came back out and you realized you needed to use your voice in a different way to bring it's sort of like you're still you're in front of people, you're kind of an entertainer in a way because you're interviewing, but you're now bringing spiritual teachings through and offering those to others in an interview format, and then morphing that into now teaching and training the spiritual work that you're doing, the Soul's Calling, and I think you also do membership calls or something like that monthly, or
Yes, I have a membership, and it is a membership that is based on different perspectives. So I bring in my favorite spiritual teachers, and they do a masterclass every month. And then also I have live sessions every month where I bring up a topic from everything I've learned on my 7 years of interviewing 400 people and my own journey, because I've understood that one thing is to get intellectual knowledge and be inspired on YouTube, but I felt like people didn't have a real transformation. So that's why I created a membership, so you don't have to like kind of fall back in old patterns, but you have a place where you have your community that you go back to again and again. And I really think, that's important. It doesn't have to be my membership, but as long as we have like a place to go back to, so we don't fall back, because it's very hard to do this work alone. And that's why your work is so powerful as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like you, I was raised in Iowa. I began waking up very young, and I didn't have anyone to share my experiences with. I had esoteric and mystical experiences from the beginning, but I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I just didn't have that community. And so community is so important. And thank you for creating a platform where people can be part of a community and be part of a regular, network of people growing together. That's what it's all about. We don't have to do this alone. I mean, we certainly can. It's important to go internal, as we all know, but we don't have to do it alone anymore. And I know that now the energy is that there is power in numbers. There's power in coming together and doing this work with others. And we actually expand together, I think, more than we do when we're just alone all the time.
I think so too. I think actually we have a more rapid spiritual growth when we're doing it together. It is, and I don't know why, but it is, I've interviewed some teachers on this, that when we do come together, either physically or on an online space, there are some results showing that there is a greater healing, that there's some sort of momentum happening. So when I have a breakthrough, it's more easier that you have a breakthrough, etc. So so it's not just an idea, it's real.
We create those pathways for each other. And I also think we have soul codes where we wake each other up. So if you have an awakening experience and share it with me, it's easier for me to have an awakening experience because I can pick up on that code and open up and follow that pathway in my own way, but inspired by the interaction, by the sharing. And that's what makes it so fun to do this in groups. Okay, so I was listening to you talk a little bit earlier about some things, and I heard you talk about that you have done lucid dreaming and astral projection, and I would love to hear your experience on that. And it's funny because I didn't know that about you before, and I was wanting to have a lucid dream expert on the show, but I didn't get one. So maybe you can give us some of your expertise. What have you learned? What can you tell us about lucid dreaming and astral projection?
Yes, it's a huge topic. So of course, just to explain enough, I would probably need, an hour. So I'll try to get it as short and understandable as possible. Because if you're new to this, it's like a totally new world of possibilities. I actually, in my membership, we are focusing on lucid dreaming this month. Wow. So it's, yeah, it's a synchronicity. Yes, in 2006, I needed proof that I existed out of my body. So I set the goal that I would project out of my body because I heard that that was possible. So I signed up to this astral travel and dream course where I learned a lot. And lucid dreaming and astral projection is the same and different, but they're both out-of-body experiences. So lucid dreaming is when you wake up in a dream. So let's say that we are in a dream right now, and all of a sudden, I say, for instance, hey, do you know that we are dreaming? And then all of a sudden, we all wake up and we'll realize that we're now in a dream world, dreaming, but we are aware that we are dreaming. Because most of the time when we're dreaming, we're not aware. That's why when we see a flying elephant in the air, we're not questioning that. We're like, oh, we're not asking questions why weird things are happening because we are kind of unconscious in our dreams. So when you are lucid, you are aware that you're dreaming, which means you can navigate in the dream world being conscious. It's like all of a sudden you are in a new landscape, a new world, exploring these flying elephants and weird things happening, and also beautiful things that you can explore, and being fully conscious. So it's a great, great way to have a more rapid spiritual growth. You can meet masters, you can fly to the other side of the world, you can fly to your brother's house and see what he's doing. You can see what the government is hiding. Yeah, like there are infinite possibilities in lucid dreaming. However, the challenge is to actually stay lucid, because if we're not trained to do it, it's very easy to have a lucid moment. Oh, I'm in a dream. And then you start dreaming again. Mm-hmm. So the more you are actually conscious during your day, the more aware you are, the more present you are, the more you've trained your mind to silence your mind and not being engaged in mind chatter and your thoughts, but being present, the more clear your dreams will be, and the more clear your lucid dreams will be. And short on astral projection, that is actually when you are consciously moving out of your body. So you're kind of projecting out of your body, because when we go to sleep, our astral body is actually going out of our physical body. There are some disagreements about this. Some people are saying it's just all in the mind. But from my own experience, I felt that I was in another body. And I also experienced moving consciously out of my body. So I was lying on my bed and I did several exercises for several weeks. And after 5 weeks, all of a sudden, I had been then meditating for an hour that time. I think it was either on my heart, I don't remember, or it was a mantra, I think, that made it. So I was focusing on that mantra, like again and again and again. And all of a sudden, it was like my physical body got really heavy and another part of me got really light. And I started somehow shivering. It was like this weird shivering that I've never experienced before. And all of a sudden, it was like I split in two. It sounds so strange if you haven't experienced it. And then I split into two and I realized, oh, wow, I managed to move out of my body now. So then I was in the astral realm, which is called the dimension we go to when we dream. And then from there, I could fly, and I did fly, and I did what I intended to do to, what I had wanted to explore in the astral. And that was a life-changing experience for me, because after that, I was so high. I was like, oh my goodness, everything I have believed is true. Like now I have the proof. And why don't we learn this in school? This is for real. It was so amazing for me to get that verification that I exist out of this body. So I don't know. I could speak on and on about this, but that was like a short version of astral projection, and lucid dreaming.
Thank you. And I love how, what it did for you ultimately is take what you believed and made it what you know. So that changed, I'm sure that changed your whole timeline. When we go from believing to knowing, everything shifts because our whole perspective shifts. Even if you believed it strongly, to believe is not as strong as to know. When you know something for sure, you have confidence then. And until then, it's faith. And faith is great, but to know something is the embodiment of the knowledge. It's no longer up here, it's here, and it's in your field as a knowing. And then you carry the soul codes for that, and then you can help other people turn that on more easily as well. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, I so agree, because if it just becomes ideas, that I was very on ideas in the beginning of my spiritual journey, but then nothing changed really. So I understood that I needed to know more. I needed to integrate what I learned from teachers, not just have it be like an intellectual knowledge that, oh, I know a lot about twin soul and soulmates, and or I know a lot about grounding. It's very good to ground yourself. Or I know that I need to love myself. I actually need to practice loving myself. I need to integrate and do the work, because that's when I get the change and the transformation. So, but back to lucid dreaming. Yeah, I mean, it did probably change my timeline, because all of a sudden I could speak with much more conviction, and I knew that the work I was doing with my interviews, they had a greater purpose. And ultimately, I think that we will wake up one after one and realize this. But it's not probably for everyone in this lifetime. But yeah, I definitely feel that this is my calling.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing about that. I find it fascinating. And one thing I just wanted, I can't let go without hearing you said you could visit masters or in your lucid dream. Did you visit, was there an experience that you had of one that's very memorable? Can you share like a piece of some very memorable lucid dream, or do you have one in mind? And I'm sorry, I'm just springing this on you, but when you said that, I'm like,
Oh, that's
who did
fine.
she visit?
Well, honestly, I didn't meet any masters. But I know that it's possible to do so because you're in the spirit realm. So, however, to just describe a little bit, the astral realm consists of different levels as well, like lower and denser levels and also higher levels. And to move up to the higher levels, you need some level of consciousness as well. Like you need to be a bit, you need to have an expanded awareness. And at that time, I was practicing a lot, so I felt I had a higher awareness. However, I don't think I actually asked to meet a master, that it wasn't that what I wanted to explore. But I came to this beautiful garden, which kind of was for me kind of like heaven-like dimension. The flowers, or the flowers were big as trees. I remember I was like, whoa, a flower is a tree? And they were huge. And I was flying around those flowers, and they smelled so beautifully. And they were so vivid. And I remember I was thinking, this is much more real than real life. It's so real. Like the smell is so real, the sight is so real, it is so beautiful. And I was flying over this landscape and looked down, and there were children playing, and it was just this, it's hard to explain with words, but this beautiful, beautiful landscape. And I felt like I was in this very loving place, and I was basically just flying around there. I don't know why I came there, but it felt like I was there to just have a space of a small retreat, in a sense, just to feel that beauty, experience beauty and rest. So I kind of felt this healing sense afterwards. And I've also experienced moving up to the sky and seeing some symbols in the sky that was an answer to a question I've had. It kind of feels a bit personal, but it was something I had been wondering about. And all of a sudden I saw this symbol that explained to me that what I was wondering about. And I've had several also mystical experiences that I think also has been in relation to this period where I was lucid dreaming a lot, where I was expanding all of a sudden out of my heart, and all of a sudden felt this huge love towards myself. It was like I was love, like everything I was love, and I loved myself, and I was loved. So it was kind of like I had a dual experience of being love and loving myself, if that makes sense. I'm thinking about Eckhart Tolle now, who speaks about observing the self and being the self at the same time, in a sense. And I kind of felt that there were two perspectives, that I was loved and being I loved and was being loved. So that was also a profound experience where I understood that I'm huge. And not only me, everybody is like this. Everybody is so much bigger than they ever can imagine. And what we are love. So that was also like, wow, like a breakthrough in my life. Yeah, a turning point.
Wow. And yeah, you know, I can feel that from you. I can feel that experience. Those experiences like I said before, we embody them and they become part of our energy, part of our system. And that's why, you know, what I was addressing in the beginning when I introduced you, I could feel that authenticity, that you genuinely care about other people, that you genuinely want to get this information and share it with the world, not for your own fame, but for the world to be better, you know. And I think it's, even in these interviews, you know, everybody are somewhere on that spectrum, you know, of having had, and it's not better or worse, it's just there are always layers to evolve into. And when you've had a profound, deepening, opening experience like that, it's tangible. People can feel it and they'll say, oh, I don't know what it is, but I'm drawn to you. I don't know why, but I really want to, you know, I want to hear what you have to say. And I think that's it. It's that energy of knowing that you are love, and that's really the essence of what this is all built on. People feel it. So
And I just want to mention in relation to that, what is interesting to me is that it wasn't like all of a sudden I got enlightenment. I've never felt that I have been enlightened or anything, but I've had some experiences. However, they changed me in a lot of ways. And in another way, not at all, because I still need to do the work. It's not like my negative thoughts are disappearing. I still need to work on self-love. So for me, it's what my experience is that when you start this journey, you get some help. And I've heard others say this too. You all of a sudden start to have spiritual experiences, and then they might stop, because then it's up to you to continue doing this work. Yeah. So it's not like a sleeping or just a, how can you say that? That we just relax because we had this experience and now I'm like fixed. I'm all,
yeah. You're never done.
You're never done. We have to continue the work. Otherwise I can fall back to default. So I'm very aware of that it was a help and I have a knowing. However, I need to continue my spiritual work.
Yeah. It's like layers. There's always another layer. And I think too, you know, like how you said, you brought it into your personal experience. It went from head, from ideas and belief and thinking, into your heart and knowing. And then that's the becoming. And then I find there's a whole other world available to explore once you drop from the head to the heart, because there's so much knowledge. Like when you're in your head gaining knowledge, there's endless amount of knowledge to gain, right? But then when you bring it in and embody it, then you learn it. It's like it's all different. It evolves differently. But I think that's the next level. And clearly you've gotten there. And then I think that the levels are endless. I mean, I think it just keeps going and going, and there's always something new to experience. And that's why even people who are, I don't know, you know, if you call them enlightened, they say, there's that saying, chop the wood and carry the water before enlightenment, and after enlightenment, chop the wood and carry the water. You don't ever stop doing those things, and you don't ever stop doing the work.
Yeah, that's very important. And some people have been saying to me like, but what about that teacher? You know, he speaks about these great things, but then he got divorced himself. And then I say, but he's a person. Like the teachers are people and they are on their path. It doesn't mean that they have that they don't have a lot to give to others, because like when I interviewed Neil Donald Walsh, he said it so perfectly. He says that I teach others what I need to learn myself. And I was like, yes. And that's what I feel like I'm doing as well. So I'm very open about that. I'm so a work in progress and I've come so far, but I've so long to go. And that's why I'm saying with my members, like we're walking this path together. We're growing together here. It's not a hierarchy, and there's always levels and levels and levels and more expansion to do. So I like the pedestal thing. I used to put all the teachers on pedestals, and now I'm like, they're just humans having beautiful things to share. But nothing is better, nothing is worse. It's just different.
Yeah, and we're all in it together and we're all helping each other. And when we find one of those teachers that has just such beautiful wisdom that we can learn from, it's not about putting them above us. It's about, oh, what can I learn here? And what can I grow from? And we have to give them space to be human too and have their learning and growing experiences. And their, we can't expect anyone to be beyond human.
Right.
They're human, right? That's unfair. Yes. So I want to walk into. I know that you have a grounding process, and it's so important. Like like we've been talking about, you get so in your head. We all do with all of this information. It's important to ground it into the body. Do you have a process for us to experience that?
Yes, I do. I've learned how important it is to ground ourselves. And I actually learned this technique from one of my teachers, Marit Reitan, and I have my own version of it. And she taught us how important it is to ground ourselves. And we did it every time we met at the course. Because she says when you ground yourself, you can also so much easier let go of baggage and things that are blocking you. And you can also receive much better and manifest more because we are in this physical reality. And also then you are in your body. We're supposed to be in our bodies, not just up here in our heads. And the more we are grounded, the more we are present in our lives. And it feels really good to be grounded. But for those of you, including myself, who've had eating disorders when I was young and have had some traumatic experiences with our bodies, then it might be hard to be grounded. So we are a lot up there and have escaped in a way. So it's really important to come back to the body for healing and really having more flow in our lives. So what I imagine is that I'm just going to explain it now. We close our eyes, and then from your hips, you can imagine like two tubes of light going down from both of your hips. And they're going down, 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 and then into the crystal heart of Mother Earth. And then just make sure that you haven't crossed your legs, that you're sitting upright. And then from Mother Earth, you are pulling up this, I like to look at it as this red, delicious earth energy. And I'm like pulling up and then through the chakras in the feet, because we also have chakras there. And then you pull it up through your knees and your thighs. And then you can visualize that the energy is like showering in your hips. And then what I do is that I pull down universal light, because I like to balance heaven and earth. So I pull down this universal light, exactly the universal light that I need in this moment. And you can just say that with an intention that I'm pulling and receiving the universal light that I need in this moment. And then you can just visualize that it's going through all your chakras, like your crown chakra, third eye, throat and heart and solar plexus and so on, and down to the root chakra. And here, these two energies, like the red energy, the earth energy, and the light energy, they are mixing, and then they are mixing all over your body. So you can imagine that this red and light energy is like mixing, and then you are connected both to the earth and to the sky. And if you are new to this, you might feel a bit dizzy in the beginning, and that's normal. And you also might feel like a bit heavy because all of a sudden you're connecting to Mother Earth. I think it's a nice experience. And then if you want to have a variation of this exercise, you can also, when you are mixing these two energies, like you've pulled up the red energy in your hips and you pull down the light energy, and they are showering and mixing around in your hips. What you also can do, if you want to work on letting go of things, you can imagine that you're pulling up 10%, for instance, of the red energy. And also the light energy, that you're pulling up the light energy and 10% of the red energy. And then you're pulling it up through your upper body, and then it shoots out of your crown chakra. I just have to do it like that so you that you see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that energy is like showering your whole aura all around, like all around. And then that energy is going down all the way to Mother Earth. So then the intention here can be letting go of things that are not serving you anymore, and let Mother Earth take care of it and transmuting that energy. And this is something you can do for several minutes. You can either do it as a short grounding exercise, just the first part of it, or you can do the whole exercise, mixing these energies and letting that energy shoot up through your crown chakra, showering your whole aura, and then going down to Mother Earth, letting go of things you don't need anymore. Yes.
Nice. Yeah, as you're speaking, my head was tingling. It's like
interesting.
Dancing on my crown chakra.
Yeah, it is a powerful exercise because you really feel like you're letting go of a lot of things, and that Mother Earth is taking care of it and transmuting that energy into something new.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, thank you. I'd love to have that do you have that as a guided meditation?
Half of it I have for my members. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe that's next.
Maybe that's next. Yeah.
Just a little prompt there. Make us that one. That sounds nice. Like to do the whole guided meditation with you would be.
Yeah, maybe I'll make one. I have several meditations on like meeting your future self and inner child meditation that are for free, but that grounding exercise is for my members as of now.
Nice. All right. So join Jannecke's membership and you can get it. All right. Okay. So one of the things that I really wanted to ask you about is you've done all of these interviews with all of these amazing teachers, and I'm sure that you've just learned so much from them. But is there, like, can you hone in on one very special thing that you learned, or one huge aha, or something that you got from one of the mentors that you'd like to share that was impressive to you or impactful in your life?
Yeah, I can share one interview. And I think the reason why it meant so much to me is because I've been struggling, like I said, with darkness and depression. So for me, it was a very personal interview. And part of my depression was also that how can I be happy when there's so much misery in the world? Like, I couldn't wrap my mind about why I should feel joy. So that's why I've also been so curious about the big questions, like having real answers so I can allow myself to feel joy. And now I have understood that it's about experiencing joy, that life is joyful and our natural state is joy. But it was an interview with a teacher called Emmanuel Jal, and he was a child soldier in Sudan, I think it was, and I interviewed him many years ago. And what he had experienced was so horrific that it's like I can't even imagine. He's also been on television here in Norway. He has killed people. He have, as a child soldier, he has lost so many of his family members. It was just so horrific. And he managed to change this darkness and forgive himself, forgive those who killed his family, move into such a loving space. And today he says that I need joy every day in my life and living from this joyous place. And for that transformation to happen in such destiny for a soul, that amazes me. If someone that has had so much darkness can turn that into light, then anything is possible and anyone can be helped. And I remember that I cried in that interview because it touched me so much. And it's very interesting the way he did it, because he said he met his demons. And my perspective is that it's so important that we don't push darkness and so-called negative feelings under the carpet and pretend that we're just happy all the time. I think it's a part of humanity. It's a part of being a human to have both dark and light. And he really met his demons one by one, he said. It's fascinating how he explains this. And then all of a sudden, it just transformed in him. So that made a very, very big impression on me. And it gave me hope that anything is possible, and that there's a reason why we're experiencing darkness, and that the truth and what life is all about is really light. Like when you come into a dark room, what will light the room up is light, right? It can't go the other way around. So, and then of course there have been a lot of other interviews, like Teal Swan was a bit like, whoa, that was a big one for me many years ago, and also Byron Katie. So yeah, many beautiful interviews. I hardly can remember them all. There has been so many. But yeah, very grateful for having spoken to amazing teachers who share from their hearts.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that, and then for sharing those with everybody else, because wow, there's just so much to learn. And sometimes, it's one thing to read the work of somebody who's a teacher, and that's great to read it, but when you hear their voice, the voice has codes. The voice is a frequency. It has so much information, even beyond our range of being able to hear. There's so much encoded in the voice. So when a person shares their story verbally, then we can receive even more information from that sharing. So thank you for making those available to us, and for free. You put that on YouTube. You have a big YouTube following now, and it's all there for anyone to look at and listen to anytime. So thank you for that service. What a powerful calling to have been called to do that, and then to go through with it even when you were feeling low or sad, and small, and like you've had your career taken away, to follow that calling in your heart, your soul's calling, and to open up to, okay, I'm being guided to interview these masterful people. And were you concerned that they wouldn't say yes to you, or how did you even go about reaching out to them at that time?
I was very bold. I was just writing to them. I think I was kind of divinely inspired. It was this drive that all of a sudden, when I got that idea in 2012, I'm going to do interviews. It was this drive that I was just writing emails and emails. However, what I was most afraid of was perhaps not being a good enough interviewer, not being able to speak well enough English, not understanding what they said because maybe they used some difficult words. So I was very bold. I wasn't afraid of, I think that's not a problem for me. However, I got to say that following your calling, it's not always easy. It's more easy to not do it because often it does not make sense what you're called to do. The second is, in the beginning, like you said, I didn't earn any money at all, so it was a lot of work. I had to just keep doing it, but I felt that I should do it. So I want to honor those who are following their soul's calling, because it's not easy and it's very brave, and it's kind of like something we have to endure, being in a process before it kind of starts to flow and it kind of makes sense, and we see why. Like you said in the beginning, you understand your path all of a sudden. It's like, oh, now I get why I was a musical theater artist, but that wasn't my real calling, but it was another calling that led to. So the divine is just so intelligent. And following your soul's calling has a lot to do with trust. And trusting the universe is not always easy. However, maybe you've heard that saying that whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right, like Henry Ford was saying. So if you think this universe is a malevolent, I can't say that.
Malevolent, bad, mean.
Bad place. Or if you think it's a friendly place, you're right. And you will see your reality in accordance to that. So,
perspective. Our perspective changes our experience. And, like that's a lot of the teachers say, the world is not how, like we perceive the world not as it is, but how we are. We perceive the world as we are, not as the world is. It's perspective based. So where your head is, you're thinking everyone's out to get you, and the world is a evil place, then you're going to experience that. But if you can get into the space of the world's a beautiful place and everything is here to support me, even my challenges, that's what you'll experience, even in the same interaction.
Exactly. And what you said right now, even the challenges, that you haven't done anything wrong. Like in my membership, we have a masterclass about the dark night of the soul, because I think it's also important to address a little bit of the dark side, not the dark side, but also experiencing that when you don't have that passion, you don't feel that your eyes are sparkling and you're excited to get up in the morning, you kind of feel this cloud over your head. A lot of spiritual or people on the spiritual path have experienced that. And it's actually part of the spiritual journey, that somehow you're becoming ready to even hold more light. And knowing that is important, because we might think that I've done something wrong, the universe is against me, this and that. And then all of a sudden the truth is that you're actually being prepared to hold more light.
Yeah, that's a beautiful analogy. I have a friend who's also a teacher, and she says, we're never losing ground, or we're never like falling backwards. It's like, you can think of life and our spiritual path as a spiral staircase, and we're always going around the spiral staircase, and the sun is shining on one side of it. So when you're in those moments, you're still going up, you're still evolving yourself, but you're going around the dark side. And then you come back out in the sun in a higher place with new light. And then at some point you'll go back around on the dark side again and come back out in the sun, but in a higher place. So it's a way to look at it where you're not losing ground, you're not falling backwards, you're just in that like incubating, and sometimes the release happens in that dark time, or the dark night of the soul. A lot of people really shine brightly after that. So there's huge value in going through that.
I love that metaphor. Thank you. I might use that. That was brilliant. Yeah, makes so much sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We're already getting to the end of the hour here. Is there anything that you'd like to add that I didn't ask? Anything that little juicy tidbit, a life hack, something that I didn't know to ask you that you'd like to include?
Well, I'd love to share this technique on getting answers, because I love dreams. I get answers in my dreams. Like, I've never been a person who is clairvoyant or something like that, clairaudient. I've had a knowing. However, in my dreams, I've had a lot of guidance. So what I usually do is that if you have a question, maybe it's someone you're dating, you're not sure about them, or maybe it's a job. Should I take this job? Should I quit? You can actually use dreams to get answers. And what I learned from the Silva course that I went to many years ago that really works is fill up a glass of water, and then you ask the question, is that job right for me? Tonight I will get an answer in my dream, and I will remember my dream. I will remember my dream. I will remember my dream. And I will also understand it. And then you drink half of the water, and then you go to sleep. And then when you wake up, you don't go for your phone. You take the rest of the water and you drink it up. And then you close your eyes again and you see if you can fish after, if there was a dream there. And you might also get an answer in your everyday life. You might also remember your dream all of a sudden in your day, or it might come a few days after. So just keep at it, do that exercise. There's something magical about water and dreams. They're very connected. Yeah, and then see what happens.
Oh, I love that. Yes, thank you. And has that worked for you?
Yes, I've received a lot of answers in my dreams. It's not all, dreams speak to us in symbols. So it's not always like, oh, go and take that job or don't do it. It's kind of like you have to interpret it. And that's why I was adding, and I will understand the dream. So you kind of instruct yourself that I will remember my dreams and I will also understand it so I interpret it correctly.
Nice. Yes. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Okay. Well, that was perfect timing. We're rounding out the end of the hour here. And I just wanted to, one more time, remind everyone that your Soul's Calling online retreat is completely free. And I'm going to be sending out you actually will receive an email that this is connected to. So if you're watching this through the summit, then the email will have the link to get to Jannecke's Soul's Calling retreat for free. So jump in there and join that and find your soul's calling and find out how to follow that more. What a wonderful gift. Thank you, Jannecke, for providing that for us. And I just also want to say anything that you might have seen or heard or anything that struck you today from this conversation, I would love to hear what it was. Like, what was your aha moment? What was the thing that you heard that you really got something out of? And then reply to the email that you got today and let us know what that is. And I will share all of those comments with Jannecke when they come in. It's always fun to hear what people got out of the conversation.
Lovely.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end. And I just want to thank you so much, Jannecke. It was beautiful talking to you. You're just such a beautiful person. I love everything you share and how you share it from your heart. I really feel that. And I know everybody else feels that too. And I appreciate that so much. And to everybody else, thank you so much for joining and watching, and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.